This recording is on how to set up the perfect iOS device and then basically use that perfect setup to clone other devices. So right now I'm just on iTunes and doing nothing. And I'm going to go ahead and plug in a iOS device that I've set up that I'm going to say is the perfect, or rather the one that I like the way it's set up device. So I've gone and set up, in this case it's an iPhone, and it doesn't matter whether you're doing with this with an iPhone, or in the case of the kindergarten at National Trail, an iPad. It's the same process. So first of all, I'm going to click on the device, and I will tell you I have the current copy of iOS on here. So I've clicked on that and I've gone to summary. So I've clicked on the device here and then I've gone to summary, and you can see that as soon as I hooked it up it went and did a sync. So what I'm going to do now is, once I've got this all set up the way I want it to be set up, I pick down here under backups that I want to back up to this computer, and then I click up backup now. Now when I do that, what it's doing is just making a cloned kind of copy of this iPhone exactly the way I have it set up. So it's going to have, it's saving, in the case of apps, it's going to save what screens are on what apps. Suppose I have to wait for the backup to be complete. Maybe it is. Okay, backup today 9/17. So it is backed up. So I have gone and made, in the case of this one, I've set up what the home screen is. I've put the apps I don't need into folders. I put the ones I want down at the bottom start bar. So I've got this all set up the way I want it to before I went to the summary and did that backup, and make sure you're doing it to this computer. Now I can go and unplug this iPhone. You can see, if you want to see, this is a 16 gig iPhone 4S. I can unplug that one, and then I can plug in another one, and then I can do a restore to that. So you can set up one iPad exactly the way you want it. You can say this is a white 32 gig iPhone instead, and you can go ahead and set up the perfect one the way you want it. I'm going to go ahead and let it finish doing its syncing. I'm going to go ahead and cancel that right there, and then basically once it's doing nothing and it's already just sitting there, now I have the option to hit restore backup, and it's going to say, okay, Find My iPhone has to be turned off, so I have to go on the into the phone itself and turn off that feature. I'm going to go ahead and do that. So I'm actually on the phone turning off Find My iPhone in order to. I've actually already done this. So so I'm going to go down and turn off Find My iPhone, and ask for my password to do that. Okay, now that that's turned off, I'm going to say okay. So I can say restore, and it has a drop. What restore do I want to use? Do I want to use, there's two different restores. Do I want to use the one that was backed up at 9/17? There's also one that was backed up at 9/18. I'm going to use the 9/17 one. And then I just hit restore, and it's going to go through and then totally wipe the iPhone that I've just connected and restore everything from the one that I backed up just a minute before to it. So you can go and set up a perfect iPad, do a backup of that iPad, and then do restores of that iPad to all the other iPads in your classroom, and then you know they're all exactly the same. And then later on, if one of your students has messed with it or whatever, you can always come back then and restore to that one. And I would only back up when you know that that's one that you want to back up. Maybe once in a while you go and say, oh, I've made these changes to my iPad and I want to add these other apps, so go and do a new backup of it, so you know that's when your backup that you want to restore is. Now this restore process takes a little while, because right now, if you can hear any of those beeps, it's gone and shut down the iPhone and it's rebooting the iPhone, and now I see on the iPhone I see the Apple logo and the progress bar going across, that it's going and doing a complete restore um, on that iPhone. But when it's done, it'll be exactly like the 16 gig one that I set up previously to do the swivel camera stuff. So that's all there is to it. You just set up one the way you want it, do a backup, and then plug in another one and do a restore, and they'll all be exactly the same. And you can see that's coming back up and it's doing that restore right now. And that's it for backing up and restoring an iPhone.